Madeira, Manchester, Madrid, Turin, and Manchester again. Aguero! Goal for South Africa! Goal for all Africa! Roma have risen from their ruins!
Welcome back to episode 28 of the On Yellow Football Podcast. What are we titling this one, Zach?
I'm not sure.
Goals, and more goals. I don't know. We already said that. I think we already did that. It was an episode. Well, we have a lot of things to talk about. I mean, DFP Bocal final, Champions League, or Champions Playoff final, rather, the end of the Premier League, and the Champions League final is this weekend. A lot of things to talk about, and very exciting things to talk about. Alrighty then, after the weird start, my bad for not highlighting the top.
Amir Didic was your player of the match in that game?
He was, yes.
I would say Toby with the goal and assist.
Yeah, he was very good. But I had to include in the recap Amir Didic's first goal, because he's our new signing, obviously, and he scored his first goal for the team. So, that's great. All right. So, we have a lot of things to talk about, including the Premier League. Last days of the Premier League. What do you want to talk about first?
I'm so sad now because
let's go.
There's no football on anymore.
No, but literally
the
next
only games today is Copa Libertadores, which I am not watching.
There's nothing this week.
Or you can watch Nigeria versus Zimbabwe.
But Champions League final is this weekend at 10 a.m. for our time.
The Conference League final is also tomorrow.
Yes. So there's some. I don't know why the Europa League final was before the Conference League final. I think the Conference League final should be before the Europa League final.
It's just the way they
scheduled things, I guess, and the way that the games
the Women's
ended.
Champions League was the first one, I think.
Yes, it was. And Barcelona, they beat the Lyonesses. I think that's the French version, the women's team for Lyon. And they beat them pretty triumphantly, actually. I forgot the scoreline, but I'm pretty sure it was at least 3 goals. And Barcelona, that they've won their 4th Champions League, I think. I'm not that tuned into.
It was 4-0.
Yes,
in the final.
I'm not that tuned into the Women's Champions League, but Barca has regained their throne on that top after losing against Arsenal last year in the same final. But yes, no, there's not a lot of games this week, but we have a lot of things to look forward to, including the Champions League final, including the World Cup that happens in 2 weeks, which is crazy to say. It's crazy to say that the World Cup on our soil is going to be happening in 2 weeks. The first game, I believe, is Mexico versus South Africa in Mexico City Stadium, they're calling it, which is very neat. And then the game after that, I believe, is South Korea against another team. I forgot the name of the nation. Czechia. And they play in that beautiful Guadalajara Stadium in the mountains. So that's going to be a beautiful game to watch just because the stadium is so nice. Now, Zach, are you excited for this World Cup? Do you think there's going to be any we're probably going to do an episode before the World Cup anyway, previewing the World Cup and talking, but, are you excited for any of these first group stage games? And do you think there's going to be any dark horses that we should be looking out for before we do that preview?
It's tough to tell. I think,
yes.
Some groups are definitely going to be a little closer than others.
Yes,
I do think
some groups
that Group A, with Czechia, Mexico, South Africa, and South Korea will be pretty close. I think, Czechia, Mexico, and South Korea will kind of battle it out for those top 3 spots.
Yeah.
And there's some groups where, I feel like it's pretty obvious who's going to win them. Group C has Brazil, Haiti, Morocco, and Scotland. I think Brazil will do fairly well in that group. And, certain groups where I don't think any specific team really stands out, like Group D with Australia, Paraguay, Turkey, and USA.
Even our group, Canada's group, there's not really a team that stands out. Switzerland is a very good team, But to be honest, comparatively to all the other teams, there's not really a team that stands out to me in that group.
Well, when you compare it to, groups like Group F with Japan, the
Yeah.
Netherlands, Sweden, and Tunisia, I feel like those are, more known teams
Yeah.
in the world of football.
Exactly. And, I think it's hard to tell right now, too. I think group stage games are cool and all, but I think it really starts picking up when you get to the knockouts, when some teams get knocked out through the group stage. And once you get into the knockout parts of the tournament where you need to win that game, it gets very spicy and the games get juicy. And, because of this big format, you can get a round of 32 matchup between two very good teams. So, once you get into the knockout, it will be very interesting. And also, there's so much teams now too. 32 round of 32. I think there's how much teams are in the whole tournament now? 64?
No,
More?
48.
48? I'm not great at math, as you can see, but
Well, there was up to Group H last time.
yes. And we've
now there's
added
Group I, J, K, L, and so they added 4 more groups.
Yeah.
So I think it's 48.
Well, with the new team situation, there's going to be a lot more stories, a lot more World Cup moments, and also just a lot more games because obviously it's going to the round of 32, then 16, then quarters, then semis, and then you get to the final. And now it's going to be very cool to see who gets to the final because of how large that pathway is. That there could be some new teams because you could be having some matchups in the semis and in the quarters and in the round of 16 now that could have been World Cup final matchups. And it's going to be neat to see who actually makes it and the teams and stuff like that. Now, Premier League, Zach. We talked about not having games and stuff, and that makes sense because the Premier League finished. And there's a lot of things to talk about in the Premier League this week, and that's including your team getting relegated. Should we just rip off the Band-Aid and go straight to that?
If you want.
Yeah, how do you feel winning 3-0 against Leeds and still getting relegated because of Paulinia on Tottenham?
Well, it's not down to one game. It's down to the entire season, really.
Yeah.
Mostly down to Graham Potter at the beginning of the year. But, it's not much you can do now.
Yep.
So, you just kind of have to hope that you go back up.
Yep.
I think, we'll have a fairly good season.
Yeah, no, totally.
I think it kind of depends on the manager, but...
And also depends on who leaves your club as well.
Well, I think regardless of who leaves, we still have, purchasing power. Because players will still want to come to West Ham, assuming there'll be a Premier League club again.
Yeah.
And compared to the rest of the championship teams, players would most likely want to come to West Ham compared to any of the other teams in the league.
Yeah.
So I think regardless of who leaves, there's still going to be investment in the squad. And I don't think we're going to need to sell up to the 150 million people said because Krensky, one of our owners, our billionaire Czech owner, is going to be purchasing more stakes up to 40% and investing a lot more in the club. And that would put him level with David Sullivan's influence in the club, which could then trigger David Sullivan to sell even more potentially. So it could be a good change in the West Ham hierarchy in the future here.
Yeah, I just don't think relegation is necessarily the worst thing that happens to some teams. I think some teams need it to regroup and change things, and I think your team needed that. Obviously, you were fighting for European places a couple of years ago. You were winning European trophies, and now for the last 2 seasons, you were facing relegation, and then now, of course, the demise of your team getting relegated to the
look
championship.
at a team like Aston Villa.
Yeah.
Villa went down.
Mm-hmm.
They came up, and now they finished 4th in the table.
Yep. They
They won the Europa League.
Yep.
I think it's... relegation sucks because you're not guaranteed to be coming back up. You still have to, put out a good performance in the championship to come back up. But I think, when a big team goes down and comes back up, they're going to be more determined once they come back up, and they're not going to really be in that relegation fight.
Well,
I don't think.
Look at Notts Forest. Look at Sunderland.
Fulham. Fulham came up once, went back
Leeds.
down, and then had to come back up again.
Newcastle. all of these teams have been relegated and find themselves, mainstays in the Premier League. And I mean, I was looking at a stat here. So you got 39 points to end the season. To not get relegated, you would have had to play not in the 2024-25 season, not in the 2023-24 season, not in the 2022-23 season, 2021-22, 2020-21.
Last season we wouldn't have got
2019-20. I've messed up my letters here and numbers. 2018-19, and then it goes. Wow, I've really messed up my numbers here. 2017-16, 2016-15, 2014-15, 2013-14, 2012-13, 2011-12. You have to go back to the 2010-11 season to not get relegated.
And that's the other season we got relegated. So we finished dead last with 33 points that season.
Yeah.
That must have been a crazy Prem season. Wish I watched that year, but
Yeah, no.
33 points finishing dead last is impressive, honestly.
I know. There was only like 1 year where that I found crazy looking at some of the stats. It was Liverpool against Man City. Man City won the league. Liverpool had like 98 points and Man City had 100 or something. And Liverpool still got second, which is absolutely crazy. And I think that was the year that they won the Champions League, though. So, I mean, for your team, I think you can get back up, definitely. I mean, your team is good enough to get back up. You have the money to get back up. You just don't want to fall. Like, it's not like Luton where you're basically you have nothing still. Like, you have so much.
The last time we got relegated in 2011 or 2010-11, we came up in the playoff final. And then finished 10th the season after.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, when we got relegated a couple of years before that, I think, we went down and then we finished mid-table again. So I think we'll get back to that mid-table kind of thing, if we come back up.
Exactly.
Especially, I think, if we keep a Nuno around. I think other managers that we're linked to are not necessarily what we need.
Yeah.
I don't really want Scott Parker. Yeah. He's a good championship manager. He's shown that. But, he got 100 points with Burnley in the championship and then got fired in the Premier League,
Yes.
finishing second last.
Yeah. No, totally. I mean, around the Premier League, though, it was a dramatic final match week. Obviously, Arsenal, they clinched the title, and now Arsenal is the title-winning team.
Did you hear the announcer, though?
No.
He was like, after 20 years of gloom, it's about to go boom. And it was the Arsenal cannon fires once again.
Wow, that's
poetry.
Poetry, yeah. No, that's absolute poetry. That guy should get a raise for that. No, I did not, and that was really neat. Well, I mean, Arsenal, their trophy lift or whatever just looks weird. Like, you see so much AI photos of Arsenal winning the league that it just looks weird now when Arsenal actually win the league. Like, I was seeing like Arteta and all this stuff like celebrate, and it just reminded me of all the AI images of Arsenal winning the league, and I just still don't believe it. Like, it's still just something like I just don't believe, even though it is believable. And I mean, there's a lot of, I think, to be honest, looking back at it now, that was the team I would want it to win other than Manchester United or even Aston Villa if they had a chance. But, of course, we're third now. But, I don't want really Man City or Liverpool to win, seeing I'm a Man United fan. So, Arsenal, I mean, yes, there's still a little bit of, like, beef between them. But Arsenal winning the league is not as bad as Liverpool or City winning the league. And, I mean, hey, Arsenal haven't won the league in a while. So, over 20 years. So, I mean, hey, it can, I guess the memes are gone now, the bottler memes, but it's okay.
I do like to see that on Declan Rice's Instagram profile, he still has the Conference League trophy picture pinned and not the Premier League trophy.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it'll change.
Did you see his reaction to West Ham getting relegated?
I did.
Yeah.
I think I was the first one out of everybody to see that.
Yeah. He was not happy. And yeah, so they did their trophy celebration at Crystal Palace's ground, and they beat them, I think, 1-0. But there's a lot of other things around the Premier League that I found very, very cool. And that was the battle for Europe. I think that was the most interesting one, other than the battle for relegation between two teams. The battle for Europe was like between like 4 teams that could have made it, even 5 teams actually, if they won and the other team lost and all this other stuff. So, Manchester United, we were facing against Brighton, who were in a Europa League place. And Brighton did not play well. Man United were able to win 3-0, and Bruno was able to get his controversial 21 assist, which, people say, of course, about the hand, and, of course, the goalie slapped it in. It's an own goal, stuff like that. It means he doesn't get the assist. Well, it went to him. He got the assist, so he's at 21 now.
Have they said it's not going to change?
I don't think it's going to change.
I
would not change it now.
If you want to be realistic, it was an own goal.
Technically, yeah, I would agree.
So if they do change it, it's not crazy.
Kevin De Bruyne got 20, and he would have got 21 assists, but his went down for an own goal. So
who knows? Maybe history will repeat itself.
Potentially, and I think a lot of people would be angry. But, hey, if you want to go off of, do you want it tainted with it being an own goal, or do you want it to be a goal? But that stands. But overall, he has it right now. But we still won. Still a goal for us. 3-0 victory. The game didn't really matter to us other than that assist. But Brighton, it mattered a lot because Brighton could have made Europa League football, but they didn't. But good luck, or it makes sense for them. It was lucky for them, I should say. They still made the Conference League because of, I think, is it Bournemouth or Sunderland? No, it was Sunderland. Sunderland beat Chelsea. And Chelsea needed to win to maintain that spot in Europe, but they lost. So now Chelsea has no European football whatsoever. And Sunderland are in the Europa League. Bournemouth, Sunderland, and Brighton are in European football. And Aston Villa's in the Champions League. I don't think we could have been looking at those teams. We would have said, oh yeah, it makes sense that...
Well, I would have said Villa would be, near the top 5 for sure. Well, 5th or 6th, I would say, at the beginning of the season.
Yes.
But, they've had a fantastic year.
No, they have, for sure.
Especially with how they started the year. They were terrible at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Okay.
They finished 6th last year, so I think, it was a step in the right direction.
And,
for them.
this year, because of Arsenal doing so well in the Champions League and making the final, it is the top 5 teams that made Champions League football. But, you would have known, Arsenal, Man City, Man United, Liverpool. That kind of makes sense for them to make
Brighton
Europe.
Finished 8th in back-to-back years.
I know. And then this time,
year it's
Europe.
League
I know. But they could have made it. They could have gotten Europa League football.
Palace could also still be in the Europa League.
Yes. Brentford, Chelsea, Fulham, Newcastle.
Well, those guys can't make anything.
No.
Palace can win the Conference League and get the Europa League.
Yes. So technically they can also be in. But the teams that could have made it were Chelsea, Brentford, I think. Or did Brentford win their last game? I think they won. No, they tied.
They drew.
So they could have made it. If they won, they could have made
Well, yeah, if they had beaten Liverpool,
they would have made
got
Sunderland.
they
7th.
Got 7th. Sunderland probably would have finished 8th.
Yeah. So, I think Brighton's lucky there. But Bournemouth, what a season for them. Actually, what a season. Did you know it's their first Europa League in the club's 127-year history?
It makes sense. They were in League 2 not that long ago.
They'll have a new manager next season too,
which is crazy.
A guy named Marco Rose.
I don't understand why Iraola left them, but
I don't know why.
Considering he hasn't signed with anybody else.
If Real Madrid was asking for a contract, you might want to go there, but
he's taken that team from nothing to being
And now your team's in Europe,
in Europe.
and you might as well play in Europe to show like what you got and to say thank you for signing me and being that guy. But I don't know.
I mean, it's crazy how they've recouped from all the player sales they had.
I know.
They sold like all of their top players last.
Well,
last
we were
season.
talking about Bournemouth possibly being a relegation team or a team at the bottom of the table due to like losing so much of their best players.
Well,
Like they lost Semenyo, and
they sold Semenyo. They loaned out like half their
Dean
bench,
Huijsen.
I swear.
Dean Huijsen.
They sold Dongo. They sold Dongo Otora.
Yeah.
To Brentford too.
Their whole back line.
They sold Ilya Zabarny. They sold Mark Tavers. They sold everybody.
I know.
They sold Milos Kirkes.
Yep, Milos Kirkes, Dean Huijsen. Like they've sold so much people, but I think one of the standout players on that team has to be Junior Krupi. That guy is absolutely insane.
And they also have Ryan,
Yes.
Alex Toth. They have a lot of young players.
Do you think Junior is gonna stay, or do you think he's gonna go? Like, is he linked with anyone? I think he's linked with Liverpool.
He's linked with a lot of teams, but why would Liverpool buy another striker?
Exactly. Man United don't really need him. Yeah, we could probably. Yeah, I mean, maybe, but I wouldn't. I mean, that he's 19 and scoring 13 goals in the Prem. I mean, I would keep him, but he has that swagger. His ceiling is so high too. Like he has so much potential.
His
But
current rumors are Barcelona, Arsenal, and Man City apparently.
okay, I don't see Man City, nor do I see Barcelona. No, who possibly?
Barcelona needs a striker.
Barcelona needs a striker, and you can probably get him for cheaper than other people. I don't know. Arsenal, I
it
don't
makes
don't
sense
think.
for Barca.
Arsenal, I don't think Krupi would like the system. The system's so rigid, like it doesn't really value the finesse swagger type of players. You need to be in a system that values that. Barcelona could be a really big signing. Seeing that he's 13 goals in the Prem, his ceiling is really high. He's only 19 years of age. Like he's really, really, really good. And like I said, he plays with that swagger. I think that for a young guy is really hard to have. He plays with that swagger. He plays with that like will to win games, and he showed it, like scoring against top teams in the Premier League and scoring 13 goals as a 19-year-old. So that's just really something that I think we should be looking out for him. Possibly staying at Bournemouth because you have Europa League, but also possibly making a move. It could possibly be the situation like a Semenyo where he plays half the season and then he goes and leaves in January to a top team. But I mean, we look at these guys from Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth is honestly like the new Brighton right now when it comes to young talent and developing young talent to be pushed out.
Like even Ryan, who they recently bought, he had 5 goals and 2 assists in 13 starts.
I know.
The Brazilian.
I think they're starting to be like the new Brighton with the way that they're developing young talent, because it's like you develop young talent and then you push them out with big money signings to the big money teams.
I'm jealous of their recruitment team.
Yeah.
They have a fantastic recruitment team, which West Ham does not have one at all.
Yeah, no, you don't have a recruitment team.
No, we don't have any head of transfers, nothing like that.
So it's just your manager doing everything.
It's just the manager and the owners that are buying players based off of nothing.
Well, that's not a great thing.
Which is why, some of the signings that West Ham have had over the years, especially recently, a lot of them are David Sullivan just buying a player because their agent reached out.
Yeah.
And he sees the player, they send him like the stats package. They send him
they send him like the highlight reel of like, here's our highlights. And
then they go and sign this guy. I'm pretty sure that's what happened with players like Max Kilman. We didn't really have any scouting in that, and it was just a David Sullivan special because you liked the player.
Exactly. I think with the new age of teams, the manager, he has a say in the players that he gets, but get a recruitment team to say this guy's really good. Get a scout, get people to help you, because it's very hard to make decisions while you're also trying to manage a team. So I think that could be something in the future that you should develop to, well, now you're in the championship. You might want a guy that can actually help you get out of that. Sunderland, they're back in Europe. What's your thoughts on Sunderland, Zach?
I mean, a fantastic team.
Yes.
They spent a lot of money to stay in the league and make Europe, which, I didn't think anybody had them making Europe earlier this year. I definitely, with the signings they had, I think they were the team most likely to stay up out of all of them. Leeds also staying up, obviously, but I think they bought really smartly.
Yeah.
They bought a lot of players for that, young players that have played in top division leagues for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Guys like Noah Sadiki and Chesney Talby, and then both those guys now turned out to be fantastic signings, and they had to balance that out with guys like Granit Xhaka too.
Yeah, I think their recruitment has been fantastic. I just think their drive too. Their drive to be a team back in Europe, back fighting for top of the table, and being that team that they've missed for a while now since they dropped from the Premier League. What was it? 10 years ago, 8 years ago? Well, I mean, yeah, recruitment-wise, I think Granit Xhaka was probably one of their best signings. I know he didn't do as much, and a lot of their players are very good, but being that leader in that dressing room, the guy that has played at the top level of football to now go to that team and really help them get out of the situation they're in, I think is huge. And this is a cool stat here. This is the first Europa League qualification in 52 years for that club. And, it's the best performance by a newly promoted side. 54 points since Wolverhampton Wanderers got the Conference League with 57 points. So I think, it's a really big high for Sunderland fans. And I mean, Sunderland is a great team with great history, and they have a great stadium. So, they have everything put together on their team to make them a big club. Do you have anything else, Don?
No. I
No?
mean, I think they have the infrastructure, they have the stadium, they have the fan base to be a top team.
Exactly. And I think that they're there and they can. Now, moving on, a crazy thing that happened was the championship playoff final. Championship playoff final between Middlesbrough and Hull City happened on Saturday, and it ended in dramatic fashion, like almost every single championship playoff final does. It ended in late drama with a late goal. Now, what's your thoughts on Hull City getting promoted or the game itself? Middlesbrough losing?
I mean, it was an interesting season for Hull.
Yes.
For sure. Last season they stayed up on goal differential. This year, based on goal differential, they should have been relegated, but now they're in the Premier League. And nobody at the beginning of the season had them anywhere near the top 6 of the table. People had them in the relegation zone, especially with them having a transfer embargo to start the year, not being able to sign anybody for a fee. And they did really good player recruitment for free transfers. And the players that they had in that team, like Ollie McBurney, really stepped up this year and delivered when they needed it most.
Exactly. And now we can say there's going to be a Canadian in the Premier League with Liam Miller. Obviously, they're starting left winger. Now, I mean, the game itself, to be honest, Middlesbrough should have won.
Middlesbrough was...
They were dominant, in my opinion. Total passes, Middlesbrough had 608 to Hull's 293. And Middlesbrough had 13 shots, 0 on target, with 25 touches in the opposition box. And, it's something like, you have 13 shot attempts and 0 of them are on target. It's just basically a story of missed chances and missed opportunity.
I mean, they had 2 chances.
Yes.
They lost both of them. And, they can't fault anybody except themselves for that, really.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, you got spied on, but that doesn't change the fact that they could have scored way more goals against Southampton.
Yep.
They had the opportunities. They just didn't finish any of them. And they could have got there naturally, and then none of this would have had to have happened.
Yeah.
In the same way, at least. But they got a free cop-out, essentially, to the championship final, and they still couldn't perform against a significantly weaker team.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think at the end of the day, maybe not the better team won, but the team that deserved to win, I think, at the end of the day won because they didn't have any sort of scandal and they got there naturally.
Exactly. I mean, Hull City, they kept it together all through this onslaught. They had 19 tackles, the most in the game, 4 blocks, the most in the game, and 37 clearances, for Boro having 10. So, they played an extremely defensive game. Both sides played defensive games. Both sides played 3-4-2-1 formations. Extremely defensive, extremely low blocks, and they were able to, squeak out that last goal in the added time, which was like 7 minutes of added time, I think, and they scored in the 90 plus 5. Ollie McBurney, of course, scored. He had 19 goals, 7 assists in 42 games in all competitions.
15 minutes of added time.
15 minutes? Okay. Well, he scored the 90 plus 5. And 19 goals, 7 assists, 42 games played in all competitions. Now, the one thing we can say, though, Ollie, he struggled in the Prem. I told you, I was like, oh, maybe their striker is good because he had a very good game against Boro. But then I dig a little bit deeper after our conversation. I found that, he hasn't really had a great Prem career.
He hasn't had a good career in any First Division league.
No.
He was terrible at Las Palmas, too.
Yes. 13 Prem goals all time through 6 seasons, 2 teams, Swansea and Sheffield United. I mean, 9 years since last played in the Premier League for Hull City. I don't know if Ollie McBurney could be that guy due to the fact. I mean, maybe.
Their fans are confident.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't really have the same kind of finances to go buy like a bunch of new players.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So they're going to have to roll with some of the players they have.
I said, I think they need to change potentially their wingers, maybe their center backs. I don't really know.
I think they should buy Joe Gelhardt permanently. Who's been in their team. He's been on loan from I think Leeds, and he has 18 goal contributions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he'd be a good player for them to keep going up. He's used to the system already. He's 24 years of age. I think, he hasn't really had a lot of opportunity at Leeds.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the second consecutive season where he's been loaned to Hull. He has 20 goals in 64 games for them. So I think it would make sense that he would stay there.
That would make sense. I mean, their team is a team filled with some talent. Premier League talent you don't really know yet because they haven't been in the Prem for 9 years, and they don't really necessarily have Prem proven talent. But they can't really afford Prem proven talent, right? They can afford the one older guy that's just playing on like a Liverpool, like a James Milner type, where now he's moved to Brighton.
I mean, they could get like John Stones or something.
And John
as a free
Stones,
transfer.
yeah, exactly. John Stones on a free.
I'm
Bernardo
pretty sure Andy
Silva,
Robertson has already agreed to a deal to go to Spurs, which sucks. But
which is weird because I would think Andy Robertson would have been perfect. Obviously,
well,
since
he wouldn't have
played for the
expected
team.
Hull City to be going up.
No, but
It was like a pre-contract kind of thing with Spurs, but only if they stayed up. So I think now he's kind of confirmed to be going to Tottenham.
Yeah, and I think it's hard for a team that's just got newly promoted, especially through the playoffs, to really get someone very good. I mean, Sunderland did well.
Looking at the teams that have come up through the playoffs recently,
yeah,
those teams are far more likely to stay up than the ones that come up automatically.
yes,
Like Fulham, they came up, they've stayed up.
yeah.
I think Sunderland. I think there's been a couple teams now. I think Bournemouth might have come up through the playoff too, and then those teams are now pretty solidly in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And I think based on, just like recent results from the championship playoff final, most of those teams that come up through there have the highest odds of staying up.
Yep.
Luton, when they came up, they finished 18th. They were the highest of the 3 relegated teams that all came up. And I think it's there's something, I'm not sure, what happens there where that team that comes up through the playoffs does better, but it kind of is a consistent thing.
Yeah, the stats don't lie. I mean, I'm looking at their forwards right now, and, Liam Miller, Balumi, and McBurney, like, Balumi is still extremely young. He's only 23 years of age, but, like, all of them haven't really scored that much. Like, Liam Miller has played, yes, he's from Canada and stuff like that, but he's played 33 matches and only has 3 goals and 5 assists.
I mean, Hull City only had a +4 goal differential.
Yeah, like,
so.
Hull City haven't scored a lot.
I mean, they scored 70.
Okay.
They scored more than Millwall did.
Oh, okay.
But they've also
Let in a lot?
let in 66,
Okay.
which is the most out of any playoff team by a wide margin.
Mm-hmm.
The second closest is 56 with Southampton, but they also scored 82 goals, Southampton. So
Yeah. But you're just looking at, like, this is the championship, and you're looking at goals scored, right? If Balumi is only scoring 2 goals in 22 matches, 3 assists, I mean, potentially it could change. But that's kind of your main man. I mean, Gerhard is the guy that I think would replace. 14 goals and 4 assists in 39 games is something I think.
Well, he's not going to replace because he was already in the team.
Yeah, but he might, like, replace for a first team spot potentially.
What do you mean? He was in the first team all season.
Really? Why did he not? Why was he not in the first team for the final?
I think he was injured or something. I think he played.
He was on the bench. Yeah, he came on.
I don't know. They guess they wanted to go maybe more defensive in that game.
Yeah, they did. But he's.
They didn't play an attacking midfielder, which is his position.
Okay, yeah, I think definitely they need to keep him though. He's very strong, and I mean other players like I'm excited to see. Like I'm excited to see a Liam Miller play in the Prem, right? Because it's sometimes hard to judge, how good a player is when they're playing in the championship. Like the Premier League is that high echelon league, right? It's such a high. Well, it's extremely different from the championship, right? The championship is an extremely good league. I'm not going to understate that. But it would be neat to see, especially just for Canadian national team, have that Premier League baller in your team, right? And just to see the level, like just to see how good that Premier League is comparatively, right? And like you said, a lot of championship teams, like they're really, really good. Like especially the teams that get promoted from that playoff. They've done very well. And now also with Leeds and Sunderland staying up, it's another crazy. Well, it's another thing that could have Hull City keep their hopes up for the next season, so that they can stay up as well.
I mean, somebody's got to get relegated next year.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of teams that look like they could be in that fight.
Well, it's a very cool Premier League. Like an extremely cool Premier League. Like we got Sunderland, we got Leeds, we got Notts Forest, and of course the newly promoted sides of Coventry City. So it's just something that's really, really cool. That I'm and Ipswich, and we also have now Hull City. It's just something I don't think we would have. It's really cool, but it's something I don't think we really would have thought of other than when Huddersfield came up. Like it's a bizarre league this year. With some of the teams that went down.
You have Bournemouth, Sunderland, Brighton, Brentford, Fulham, like Leeds, Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, realistically, this could have been a championship like table.
I mean, maybe like 10 years ago, maybe.
Exactly.
But, I mean, maybe throw Aston Villa in there too.
Exactly, and Newcastle too. Like it's going to be really neat to see these teams. Obviously now Man United, they're in Champions League football, which is great. I'm happy. And I get to see my team play on a random 1 p.m. day on a Tuesday.
Yeah, but it's not like you're going to Crete and Greece.
No.
You're still going with good teams.
Yes, we'll be playing against like Bayern Munich.
It's not really a random team.
No. For us Canadians, the timing of those games, because they're on a weekday, of course, they have to be a bit later. They're always on like 1 p.m. on a weekday, which is kind of like a little bit annoying, but I'll make do. I'll find a way to watch my team play under the lights. We have some good jerseys that have been leaked, and I'm excited to see them get revealed.
Why are the stripes so wide?
The stripes are wide on all of them. Like you look at Liverpool's new jerseys, the stripes are wide.
I hate those jerseys.
I
hate those
really?
Liverpool jerseys. They're so ugly.
Really?
With all the weird like white design on them.
Yeah, but it's meant
I
to
think
like.
it looks terrible. It looks like a bus seat.
Really, I like the busty
I
jersey.
hate that jersey.
Really,
It's terrible.
I like it.
Looks like a training top.
Really, I like it.
I hate that jersey so
Wow.
much.
I actually really like it because it's based off of their old ones, and it's cool. But I'm also a guy that's like really into like busty jerseys, so there's info about me. I like the busty jerseys. So Notts Forest had a goalie shirt, I think, a couple years ago that was like a bus seat or an alternate jersey or something like that.
I think it works better for a goalie, but like
Yeah, it does work better for a
I
goalie.
feel like every player on the pitch having that kind of jersey is just like
I'll have to see it on.
distracting.
Yeah, I'll have to see it on TV.
I mean, I saw a picture of Mo Salah in that kit,
Yeah.
and apparently that was a picture from in the game, and I thought it was from pregame. So,
Oh. Yeah, no, it's their new jersey, new kit this year.
I mean, I don't know why they're already wearing it, but
Well, they're already wearing it. Like Man United's already wearing it.
Hmm.
They like reveal it the last home game, the home shirt,
did Man City wear their new ones
Yeah.
then?
and for their trophy like celebration, they wore their new ones too. For their bus parade.
I do like the new City kits, though.
Me
Those
too,
ones are
actually.
nice.
Being a Man United fan, I still
The gradient
do.
is very
The gradient's
nice.
very nice. They're clean. I mean, better than the weird water,
Oh, yeah, better than the green one, too.
the weird, yeah.
It's a terrible jersey.
Or that one year where Adidas decided to, was it Adidas or Puma? Puma, I think, decided to make the minimalist jerseys where all the teams were exactly the same, but they had their team color. Like Man City's was like a dark navy blue with a blue stripe, and it said like Man City. And then Dortmund had a similar one where it was just their kit, but it had BVB on it, no logo. Those were horrible in my opinion, horrible kits, and something I think that I'm glad that they went away from. Yeah, there was a year of like minimalist like kits, and it was just like they were just absolutely horrible. It was the same. I think it was 2022 because it was during the World Cup, because the World Cup also had the minimalist jerseys as well. They had the jerseys with like the outline on the number, where it was like the square on the number.
Well, I feel like that was only like one team, though.
No, it was all. I forgot who could have been. I forgot who was the people
Didn't
that created
Senegal
those.
have one?
Yeah, every team that was sponsored by that had that because that was the kit template. And I think the kits are definitely improved from this year. Now, with the 13 minutes we have left, DFB Pokal final. The DFB Pokal, or it's basically, for anybody that doesn't know, the German FA Cup, where they play a bunch of German teams, and they want to get that DFB Pokal trophy, which is a kind of neat trophy, actually. It's not like a cup. It's kind of...
Well, it looks more like an actual cup, maybe.
It's like a trophy with like it like looks like the
Looks like a
Holy
drinking
Grail.
cup.
Yeah, like the Holy Grail.
I mean, what's it called? I don't remember the name. But it's like in like medieval shows or whatever.
Like a goblet.
Yeah, it's
Something like that.
like a giant golden goblet.
Yeah. No, it does. It looks very. It's neat.
It's a big old gem on the
It has,
front.
it has gems everywhere. I think gems all the way around, doesn't it? Green gems, and then it has like people on it. It's really neat. Well, DFB Pokal final was played against Stuttgart and Bayern Munich, or between Stuttgart and Bayern Munich, and Bayern Munich won 3-0. But first half, Stuttgart looked very, very good. Stuttgart, they looked like the stronger team. Bayern still dominated possession, though, 69% to 31%, but Stuttgart had 7 shots, 3 on target, to Bayern's 3 and 2 on target. They also had 3 corners, they won more duels, and it looked like they were going to score, and that Bayern was on their heels, but tide shifted in the second half after, guess who scored? Our buddy Harry Kane. Now, Harry Kane would score 2 other goals after that to make it a hat-trick. And, you know, he joins the greats of German football, including Robert Lewandowski, who scored a hat-trick in the DFB Pokal final in 2012. and he scored a staggering 10 goals in the tournament, which is one less than the record from a goal from one season in the DFB Pokal, which is 11. And that was Gerd Müller in the 70s. So you're talking about one of the greats of German football, and now you're talking about Harry Kane. And now, back in September 28th, 2025, Zach, when we released our second episode of this podcast, we talked about Kane possibly being a Ballon d'Or candidate. Do you think he's winning the Ballon d'Or now? I think it's very possible.
He's probably my front runner. I think if PSG does win the Champions League, it shakes things up drastically.
Yep.
If they don't win it, then I think it goes to the World Cup.
Yep.
But I think regardless, I think this is the best chance he's ever had.
56 games, 64 goals and 8 assists in all competitions, including the Super Cup and the Club World Cup. He has well over a goal per game in the Champions League and just overall. And he has well over a goal per game in the Champions League with 14 goals, 13 in 13 matches. The Bundesliga with 13 goals in 31 matches. And, of course, the DFB Pokal, 10 goals in 6 matches. The last 2 games he's played, he's scored a hat-trick, too. The last game in the Bundesliga, he scored a hat-trick. And in the DFB Pokal final, in the Olympia Stadion, he scored another hat-trick. I think, yes, it's his best season that he's had so far. He's won the league and the DFB Pokal, so the League Cup. I mean, yeah, I guess the World Cup is going to be a defining factor if a guy goes absolutely insane and he deserves that then. But, right now, I'm looking at it, it's Kane's to lose. I mean, the last strikers to win the Ballon d'Or, I put a stat here. Ousmane Dembele was the last one, of course, and Karim Benzema in 2021-22.
Harry Kane is the odds-on favorite now.
Makes sense.
Then Dembele is in second, Declan Rice third, Elise fourth, Kvaratskhelia fifth, and then a bunch of guys after that.
Mm-hmm. Ousmane Dembele in 2024-25 had 21 goals, 6 assists in 29 games. But he won the Champions League, the Liga, and Coupe de France, UEFA Super Cup, Trophy de Champions. He won basically everything at PSG. Karim Benzema, 2021-22, scored 44 goals in 46 games, had 15 assists. They comfortably won the league with 86 points. They won the Champions League, and they won Spain's Super Cup. Now, my opinion is Kane should win it because look at the goals that he's done. If Karim Benzema won the Ballon d'Or for winning a bunch of trophies, but also getting 44 goals in 46 games, Harry Kane has won a bunch of trophies this year, 2 trophies to be exact, and he has 64 goals in 56 games. That's crazy. That's a crazy amount of goals. And, we kind of called it after Harry Kane, I believe, scored a hat-trick in his first game. We were like, is Kane going to win the Ballon d'Or this year? And I think it's possible. I think it's well possible for him to win. I mean, I think he played extremely well in this whole season. And in the DFB Pokal final, he kind of sealed it for me. I was thinking it was going to be some other players. And then, Harry Kane's brilliance came in. He scored a hat-trick, of course, but he also scored a penalty, a header, and just a strike in the top corner. So he scored, his versatility was insane. He scored everything. I mean, I think he has to thank. He has the delivery between Luis Diaz and Michael Elise, who are 2 of the best wingers in the world right now. So he does have a lot of good delivery, but he's insanely good. I mean, so for look at here. He scored a goal in every single round of the DFB Pokal, which is the 3rd player to do so this season, or just ever in history. This feat, he joins Dieter Müller from the 1976-77 season and Dirk Kurtenbach from the 1986-87 season for scoring a goal in every single round of the tournament. I mean, it's just insane. I mean, he put the team on his back. He scored the goals. He did whatever he could for them to win. Now, a crazy thing though was the atmosphere. I mean, Bundesliga atmosphere and German football atmosphere is known for its flares, its flags and banners, and its tifos. And both sides were using flares, both sides were using smoke, both sides were using this. But when Bayern scored, it was probably the craziest game of football I've watched in the sense of atmosphere. There was so much smoke that they had to stop the game because you couldn't see the players. And the players couldn't see. And of course, that smoke is horrible because it's that really when we're at Cavs games, we smell that smoke. That's nasty, the smell of it.
Smells like matches.
Exactly. But imagine that throughout the whole stadium where it's just a whiteout because you just can't see anything. It was crazy. I remember texting you, this is a great game to watch. And I can't see anything. The guy was getting subbed on, and he was blending in because they were wearing white jerseys, Stuttgart, and you just could not see.
How come they didn't use a sneak attack then?
I know. I remember when they restarted the game, commentators were like, "I have no clue what's happening on the other side, so we'll try to make our best for commentating," and they just couldn't. And I mean, it kind of died down after the second goal, I would say. Then I think they didn't have their flares anymore or their smoke anymore. They ran out, so obviously. But I think the atmosphere was crazy. I think the atmosphere in Bundesliga matches is very crazy in the sense of they allow those things to happen. They allow flares and smoke and ultras of drums and flags as well, which I think the atmosphere just makes it makes it very, very neat. It's very neat to see the coordinated chants and stuff like that. And I think it was something cool to see, but I don't necessarily like it. I mean, watching it was really difficult, and watching it from the TV was almost impossible. So I think there's something there that we could say, I don't know about that. But, do you have any more thoughts on Kane?
I'm looking at his season shot map and where his goals come from. He scores the majority of his goals to the bottom right-hand side of the net.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the Champions League, he's got almost all of them except a couple are right there. DFB Pokal, almost all of them are right on the bottom right side of the net. Bundesliga, they're a little bit more spread out, but still a large portion right on that right bottom corner. So I think it's interesting to see his shooting patterns too. I think just an interesting thing to look at. So.
I mean, he has 10 penalty goals in the Bundesliga this year. I was looking at a stat and it was
he shoots left in the pens. Though.
Yeah, I was seeing a shot map, but I was also seeing just the golden boot race for the Bundesliga, and Dennis Undav, the striker for Stuttgart, that was goalless in the DFB Pokal final. He was second, I believe. But when I saw it that time, there was only a 3-goal difference. I think it's more now, but there was only a 3-goal difference without the penalties, which is of course more now since of course Kane scored a hat-trick in the Cologne game. But I just think he's stated his case of being that Ballon d'Or winner. And I think he deserves it now, regardless really of the World Cup. I think regardless of the World Cup, unless someone's absolutely insane, like Ousmane Dembele scores in every round of the tournament and scores insane goals and gets Golden Boot in World Cup and wins the World Cup, I don't even think a Champions League is going to really change Harry Kane getting the Ballon d'Or.
Well, I mean, the odds are not really that far apart between Ousmane Dembele and Harry Kane. Even though Dembele barely played in the league this season.
That's what I mean.
He barely played, but he still scored a ton.
Yeah.
And he played 22 matches, had 10 goals and 7 assists, but only started 11.
Okay.
He had a pretty good season. he just didn't play as much. He apparently only played 6 less games this year. His stats are significantly worse this year, though.
That's
So
what I
think,
mean.
If he did win it this year, I think it's a little bit crazy. But
Well, if you look at Harry Kane, I mean, winning trophies is also a team effort as well. I mean, yes, you can get kind of put on the back of an important player, but
and if we're trying to play the cards of who has the harder league, are you going to try and say that France has a harder league now because Lens had a good season or something?
I would say the Bundesliga and both of them are fairly similar.
I think there's more top teams in Bundesliga.
Same.
Now. There's really only PSG.
Yeah.
In France.
And Marseille and stuff.
Marseille, sure, but
And
they
Lyon
finished fifth.
sometimes. But yes, no, I agree.
like, I think the top teams in the Bundesliga are always better than the top teams in France.
Yeah.
Apart from PSG. But
Yeah. All right, Zach, it's come to the end of the podcast episode. Can you do your sign off, please?
Bonjour, au revoir, and have a great rest of your week.
See you later, guys.